Supergirl has some eerie, weird dreams which make her extremely disturbed as she wakes up suddenly in Smallville, Kansas. However, she accidentally burned a hole in her ceiling with heat vision. Disturbed, she seeks help from Jean Jones aboard the Watchtower. Jean admits he cannot explain the dreams, noting they are unusually coherent and resemble memories. Green Arrow consoles Supergirl, but they are interrupted by the Question, who has a different theory, that it's all connected to a massive worldwide conspiracy. The Question assisted Supergirl and Green Arrow in uncovering the truth behind Supergirl's eerie dreams, leading him to Galatea, her evil clone. Kara fights but is outmatched. Galatea is physically older and thus stronger than her, and trained as a much more ruthless fighter. However, when Kara is on the ropes, it was Question who revealed that Galatea herself has been having sleepless nights. The connection runs both ways, giving Supergirl the chance to counterattack. Although his teammates dismissed his over-the-top theories, such as the connections between boy bands and global warming, and the Girl Scouts and the crop circle phenomenon, his deductions came to be true, just like with Galatea. Therefore, Batman appointed him to find a link between Project Cadmus and Lex Luthor. While muttering to himself, Question is engaged in an obsessive search for a link between Lex Luthor and Project Cadmus. After getting kicked out of the League when she tried to fulfill her personal vendetta, the Huntress comes across Question. She offered information on Project Cadmus in return for him helping her track down Stephen Mandragora, the man who had killed her parents. While Question knew Huntress really hadn't no information about Cadmus, he played along, simply because he was attracted to her. Question was incredibly perceptive, and he most likely investigated the background of every Leaguer, seeing as he knew everything about the Huntress before they met. He even knew that, although in federal custody, Mandragora had a hidden agenda of his own involving his recently kidnapped son. Finally, Question dissuaded her from murdering Mandragora in front of his son. Huntress realizes that Question knew all along what Mandragora's plan was, and that his son would be arriving. She asks why, then, would he go to so much trouble to help her find him, including risking his own life. Sheepishly, Question admits it was for an entirely foolish and inconsequential reason. He likes her. Surprised at first, but swept away, Huntress grabs him and plants a big kiss on his face, then drags him away by his tie to some place more private. After this, Huntress took a liking to him and they started dating. The rogue New God Mantis is rampaging through Metropolis. He proves a handful for the combined powers of Superman and Captain Atom, but Superman manages to open a boom tube and a blast from Captain Atom sends him hurtling back to Apokolips. Just then, Lois Lane arrives and reminds Superman that they have a date. As Superman flies away with her, Captain Atom is surprised to be hailed by General Eiling, dressed in full uniform. Eiling informs the captain that his commission in the U.S. Air Force has been reinstated, and it is time for Atom to make a choice between his country and the League. Superman and Lois fly toward their date. Lois reveals that it seems like she doesn't see him anymore. While Superman admits it has been some time, he reveals his desire to make today special, revealing his plans for a romantic picnic for them. Over the picnic, Lois gently tells Superman that the Justice League's recent heavy-handed behavior is making some people, including herself, nervous, and that people haven't forgotten the time when he was under Darkseid's control. While Superman admits the Justice League comes on a little strong, he assures her it's for the public's own good. She gives him a tender kiss, and they continue to enjoy their date. With Huntress's help, the Question steals a series of high-security files from a government terminal, hoping that it will finally provide proof of a link between Lex Luthor and Project Cadmus. When he's finished, Huntress suggests a date. However, Question says it will take him days to crack the data, to which Huntress then snatches the USB drive from his hands, glaring at him. Question then suggests a date with dinner and a movie, much to her approval. Inside Cadmus, Luthor is examined by Professor Hamilton, and is shocked to be told that his kryptonite-induced cancer has disappeared entirely, as if it was never there. Amanda Waller arrives and informs them of the theft. In his apartment, Question finally cracks the files and begins to review them. He finds the footage of the Justice Lord Superman assassinating President Luthor in the Justice Lord's alternate dimension and is shocked. After days poring over the data, he becomes unhinged, believing that the same thing is fated to happen in their world. Luthor will become president, Flash will be killed, and Superman will attack the government in retaliation. Except that, according to Cadmus simulations, the resulting war between the metahumans of the Justice League and humans will destroy the planet. Huntress walks in, demanding to know what he's been up to, but Question runs out, determined to put a stop to it all. Huntress views the tape and appears just as shocked. Question confronts Superman, who assures him that he would never do what his Justice Lord counterpart did, even if Luthor does become president. Question is unconvinced and decides that the only way to prevent Armageddon is to kill Luthor before he takes office.
Batman told me about them.
Did he tell you all the models predict that a war between the Justice League and the government will devastate the planet?
We would never fight the government.
Not even if Luthor was the government?
He goes to LexCorp to do so.
No matter what reality he calls home, Luthor is Luthor.
But Luthor swats him away with a display of inhuman strength that surprises both of them. He confesses that his entire presidential campaign is nothing but a ruse, a small part of a much grander scheme. Question is taken to Cadmus and tortured by Dr. Moon for details on the files he stole. Question blathers about random conspiracy theories during the interrogation, but he doesn't give up any important information. After Question disappears, Huntress kidnaps Jimmy Olsen and uses his special watch to call Superman. Telling him about the tape, they'd track Question's comlink to a garbage dump. Huntress fears the worst, but Superman points out that they just dumped his comlink, not his body. They conclude that Question has been taken alive by Cadmus. Superman initially refuses to help her, insisting that the League cannot act without legal grounds. But when Huntress points out that Cadmus is interrogating Question under the government's authority, Superman agrees to help, but states they're doing it off the books. They smash into Cadmus, and as Huntress fends off the guards, Superman looks through a wall and sees Professor Hamilton. Realizing his role in the conspiracy, Superman confronts him, and Hamilton doesn't deny or regret what he's done, insisting that the world needs protection from Superman and his kind. He reminds Superman of how he himself once threatened Hamilton personally. Superman leaves in anger, but then Hamilton sags, as though exhausted, with a concerned and regretful look on his face. Superman and Huntress break into the cell where Question is being tortured. As they are leaving, they are confronted by Captain Atom, who says that he is now following orders from the government to stop them.
Dude, Superman just told you to step aside.
I heard him, ma'am. Not gonna happen.
Inside Cadmus, Captain Atom takes on Superman. In addition to his super strength, Captain Atom can produce red sun energy blasts that weaken Superman. As they fight, Huntress takes Question out of the building and calls the Watchtower for an emergency teleport, Superman having handed her his own comlink to do so. Captain Atom gives it everything he's got, but is no match for Superman's strength. Superman is forced to give him a severe beating, coming dangerously close to cracking his containment suit before Captain Atom finally stays down. When Cadmus doctors arrive to see Captain Atom, Superman tells them to back off.
Don't you touch him! He's Justice League.
No one tries to interfere as Superman carries him out and back to the Watchtower. Superman visits Question in the infirmary, who confesses that he was afraid Superman was coming close to killing Luthor. Superman insists that that would be impossible, but Question reminds him that Cadmus have been remarkably effective in bringing out his worst side. Superman tells Supergirl the truth about Emil Hamilton, and together they storm up to the bridge, ready to assemble a team to go down and smash Cadmus before they make another move against the League. John Jones and Green Arrow remind them exactly why they can't. Because they are committed to upholding the law, and Cadmus may actually be a legitimate, albeit secret, branch of the government, which on its own commits crimes. Furthermore, Such action is precisely why ordinary humans fear the League. An eye for an eye means everyone will go blind. At the Watchtower, Question was recuperating with the Huntress at his bedside. It was during his recovery that Question showed the Huntress his true face. As he lay in bed, he asked Huntress to get a small spray can out of his coat pocket and as such applied it to his mask, which came off, and the lovers shared a tender moment. Thank you for watching Second Look. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more awesome videos. Have a nice day.